Late Night with Conan O'Brien.
Why?
Why? Party!
Oh my God!
Let's leave it alone.
Late Night with Conan O'Brien. TV to keep you up.
Oh, I just heard her recording in progress. That must be this creepy Siri you're speaking of, huh?
Yep. Creepy / sexy. Yep.
I mean, I enjoy it.
Right. It's making me feel weird in all the right ways.
Speaking of being weird in all the right ways, we're talking about Conan O'Brien.
He has so many segues.
Yeah. It all glues itself together, doesn't it? So we got Corey and Adrian from Culture Shocked. Check them the fuck out. They are delightful guys, just talking everything from video game tropes to
why the Star Wars sequels are terrible.
Let's not do this again.
There you go. Plenty of Star Wars chats. And that is definitely my favorite. Oh my God, I'm just dying laughing. So I've been glad to have you guys on before, and I just figured, hey, let's talk about an inspiring comedian who, I've been listening to his podcast Inside Conan and even his own thing, and that's even been a bigger delight. How he was offered to replace of all people, just a big giant icon. It's like you're taking Johnny Carson's spot. That's intimidating to everybody. He was previous a writer on Saturday Night Live and, Simpsons, and wrote some great sketches for both. And hearing his recent interview with Jeff Ross, who was also the lead producer on Kids in the Hall, he was literally being told all kinds of things. Kind of even made the awkward interviews work in his favor. Yeah, he would always be like, I'm a crappy actor. That's why I'm not here on late night TV. And Stuttering John from Howard Stern was actually trolling him at his first press conference, and it was hysterical because the guy was just like, hey, how do you feel about being a relatively unknown guy? And Conan just played into it. He's like, you, sir, are wrong. I am a complete unknown.
He was too. He really didn't have much under his belt before they just handed him the world.
And Jeff was even repeating how Lorne Michaels, he would own it. He saw something in him, and at the same time, he was hating what he was seeing at first, and then he just let it play out. And ironically, one of the biggest guys who did not get it at NBC vouched for the show because he was at all the live tapings. They even noted how it would have probably been different in LA, but they were filming in New York, which was kind of more freed up, and it was put in a lot of jobs. Other stuff, and they just saw how people were reacting to it. It was very much like Adult Swim, just people were just understanding just the right kind of just weird, quirky humor. Conan even said when he started it up, he really did not want to go for a typical talk show host format. He thought it was shitty and stupid, and he actually likened his show more to kind of like Pee-wee's Playhouse.
And you know what? Thank God for Conan, because he is literally my hero. I love everything the man does.
Absolutely. I would see parts of him replaying on Comedy Central around 02, 03, and my sister started recording a lot of it. And by 06, 07, it's just, he was dynamite. He'd just do random shit where he just would interact with the audience. And listening to the podcast has been so great hearing them Robert Smigel, who you guys might know as, Triumph the Insult Comic Dog.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the lead SNL writers, like the longest running guy, he noted how he would take some of his weird friends and kind of like Who's Line, they didn't drive each other crazy because they only ever met when they were at work. And it's just so funny how, it's just Andy Richter was kind of the right guy. He was suggested by Jeff Garlin and a bunch of other comedians Conan knew, and they're like that. And it's so wild how, Andy was able to kind of do his kind of thing, do a weird, bunch of comedy movie appearances and cameos, and work with Amy Poehler on the improv group, the Upright Citizens Brigade, and they got their own Comedy Central show for about 3 years.
Yeah.
But I gotta ask you both, Corey, what is your favorite absolute like Conan skit?
My favorite one
If
is
you had to pick one,
probably the one I've gone back to. You know what? As a collective, I'm gonna say everything he does to Jordan Schlansky is like some of my favorite stuff, because he like love hates that man.
Yeah, he is always. Jordan is like one of his other main producers. He's with him on the podcast, and he's always basically he's telling him what to cut. Jeff would always be the we got to go to commercial, and Jordan is always kind of just the straight faced guy, just always getting shat on just for the fact that he is doing his job, and Conan is just always playing into that, and it really is pretty fucking funny.
But my one specific remote that I go back and watch the most is probably the when they do the ride along with Ice Cube and Kevin Hart.
So now you really got to listen to the podcast, because they absolutely explain how that even came about. Like even the production manager gal who had to schedule it all, and their title was like remote production gal, because that's just it. You're hiring all these people, with drones and other stuff to follow them around, and it was so fucking hysterical. They would get the producers would always have X amount of money, to book. They would book an actual Uber, and they had an X amount, just in case one of the Ubers said, "What the fuck? No, you're not following me around with a camera." It's another car. And they would always have like set up some sound equipment and everything. It wouldn't interfere with the ride, and you get good, presentation and all. And there were, I think they said there's like maybe 1 or 2 episodes where it's like, we just can't show it. It just wasn't enough, even though the host was very entertaining to us. It's just too bizarre or not funny. And
there's always going to be stuff they have to kill from the show.
They even had a running gag, because like they would even come up with like all these other gimmicks, and for whatever reason, they'd get annoyed, and then they would have to learn the hard way. It's like, okay, Conan's already trying to learn his material, so don't get mad at him if anyone else, comes up to you an idea and says that's the stupidest fucking thing ever. And they really cultured each other. That's why they had just some other female writers. They had Dion Cole, who kind of would write a lot of black humor for them and educate them. Is like, yeah, no, man, motherfucker, we don't talk that way.
I love when Dion Cole was on the show one time. I can't remember if Conan got like braids or whatever it was, or he got like dreadlocks. And he's like, "What do you think, Dion? Is this racist?" He's like, "No, it's not racist. It's just stupid."
Right. I stuff like that.
I love Dion Cole. Yeah.
He used to come on every once in a while as the angry black announcer or something. They would just wheel his desk behind Conan, and he would yell things at the audience.
I need to relook at that. Funny. I'm sure I saw 1 or 2 of them. Oh my god.
There's a whole remote where he goes and eats soul food with Dion Cole in a black neighborhood, and it's hilarious because Conan doesn't know how to order.
And they're all like, "Who the fuck is this guy with this big red hair?" And
it was funny.
But I mean, just speaking of like Smeagol and Dion Cole, like Conan has had some absolute powerhouses come through, like be an intern for him.
Oh yeah,
that was a wonderful segue. I was actually gonna list some people, because guys, this is not fucking IMDb stuff, they don't even fucking know how long they worked there. But so I'll list off some great names. And a lot of them again were interviewed. Wyatt Cenac from The Daily Show. He was estranged from his family years ago. He was going to all boys art school in Dallas, and then he interned on Late Night with Conan during college, then dropped out to also try interning at SNL during the Jim Breuer, Sherry O'Terry, Will Ferrell's earlier years. And then he became the first black writer on The Daily Show.
Right.
But he once took an internship placement test, and the internship suggestion was to be a stuntman interview. And that was when he was just on Annie Richter's. And so it's just so funny how half the time there was even another writer on there who noted how Jonathan Graff and a bunch of the other guys is like they would literally intern there, and then just to keep their gig they would intern for a totally different job, and then what do you know is like, hey, you're back. Yeah, I'm not leaving, I'm just trying to fill it out so I don't get replaced. But yeah, Adam Pauly was on there, John Krasinski and Mindy Kaling from The Office were also there, and Conan would have some,
and Ellie Kemper.
Yes. Yeah.
Three of Office fam.
Three Office key people. And John's funny interview on Conan is like basically he worked there for like a year and a half, and then Conan's getting even more intimidated. He's like, "You're on NBC after me," or before me. But they had a mock fight scene, kind of like in the hallway every once in a while. It's like, "Do you know who I am? You better walk like a man."
Now, was this buff John Krasinski he was interviewing, or was this before he was buff?
Definitely when he was a Slim Jim.
Slim Jim
doing indie films. So yeah, Conan was on the Smart List podcast, with Sean Hayes, Will Arnett, and Jason Bateman. And so yeah, he said he wanted to compile elements of SCTV and Pee-wee's Playhouse in a post-Letterman world, and then he wanted to bring a Warner Brothers cartoon influence as he was just fresh off writing Simpsons. So yeah.
Wow.
You know what? He absolutely nailed that combo of things.
Because I did kind of get that same kind of off-kilter build, like, because, you even see that with, like, even other crazy shows, like, Whose Lines It Anyway, and even Robot Chicken, just the whole is like, okay, we're doing a sketch, but then we're going to the next one. It doesn't necessarily have to do with any of the shit that you saw before, and it's going to be a recurring deal.
Yeah, and there was a time when Simpsons was good, and Conan was a part of that. Part of that zeitgeist. I think he only wrote for them for 2 years, but
yeah,
it was real early in the show's run.
He wrote like some classic episodes to where, the animation wasn't quite there yet, but the voice was, and
everything's kind of gone reverse. Like the humor at Simpsons was peak, the animation wasn't great, and now at like 180, the animation looks really good. Not that funny anymore.
Yeah, I don't know when I gave it up. I definitely
a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
It definitely was a decade ago. Probably the last time I laughed was when they just had The Simpsons on recently, and Conan was in animated form. So boom.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, in the show's defense, we haven't watched it in a long time. Maybe it got funny again, but there was a time where I just gave up on it.
A friend of mine who does Nikolai's Kitchen, another podcast, Nicholas Haskins, he's still huge. No, he's the one.
No Nicholas Cage in here.
Nick, the one who ran
the live stream
for the Cure.
For the Cure.
Oh wow.
He is still a massive Simpsons fan.
Oh, is he?
Oh yeah. So
okay,
so he'll be with them till the day he dies, I'm sure.
So it holds up for him.
Because Simpsons will go till he's dead.
Oh, and then two other names I wanted to mention real quick.
Yes, please.
Corey and I will definitely love both of these. One that interned for Conan and worked with Conan was Bob Odenkirk. Better Call Saul.
Yeah. One of the lead writers. And yeah, everyone was always like, what was he doing? And so, yeah, they knew each other back when they were on SNL. And it was so funny hearing his interview because they're, Bob's, again, mega TV star and promoting nobody. And Conan just jumps in and says, I know you're never going to do a sequel. When am I going to get the call to be the super villain in part 2? And
I don't know
up with all these bad action movie ideas. And it's like, I'd watch every single one of them just because Conan is fearless. He doesn't care if he insults himself, offends someone, or
unlike some hosts now, late night hosts, Conan definitely has no problem poking fun at himself.
Not at all.
There's some that are there's a few of them that are like, I don't know, they're just their demeanor when they're interviewing people is kind of like holier than thou. Like I think of Stephen Colbert.
Yeah, probably the closest. And I mean, even Kimmel. I mean, even if
Kimmel as well.
if his skits were weak, I would still respect him because he would often be given just the stupidest, like lowest of the low, like crappy rappers or reality stars, and he would kind of follow Conan's lead in that he was just gonna just troll him, just say, "Well, you don't look like you really want to be here, do you?" You know, so you just really just stick it to him. And Colbert definitely owes, you know, a lot to Conan by having his former lead writer Brian Stack, you know, on as And I love how Brian, much like Conan, will interact in the skits. Like he'll introduce new impressions or be in heavy makeup, and he was immortalized for me in my favorite Conan skit, the Interrupter.
Yeah, in the audience. Yeah,
totally. This guy just comes out and just very bearded. Looks like a poor man's, you know, orange colored Gandalf, and he's just like, "I am interrupting," you know. It's just like, and kind of like Monty Python, you just accept it. It doesn't matter if it, you know, makes any fucking difference. It is what it is, and you just you go along with the ride. Because it's like we would see other people late at night. I was already just tired of Carson Daly, who was coming on after Conan. Like the best part was the music, you know, in the last 2 minutes, and that's not worth staying up. And
when you're
Corden plays it safe. I think had he not done, you know, karaoke, I don't think
carpool karaoke or whatever,
I don't think anyone would fucking be watching otherwise. And
I never really liked James Corden. Is it Gordon or Corden?
Corden with a C.
It doesn't matter. He's been canceled.
Canceled. You've been canceled.
Come on, guys. He was in that awesome Cats movie they made.
No, he was. That's right.
Right.
Judi Dench.
Batman and Robin and freaking Battlestar Galactica got some serious competition.
Yeah. And then the other name I wanted to mention was also got temporarily canceled, but the man is so big, he's like so larger than life that you can't keep him down forever. The other one that interned was Louis C.K.
Yeah.
Also was a writer for Conan, which Corey and I absolutely, I don't know if you can swear on this podcast.
Fuckity fuck.
I was gonna say Corey and I absolutely fucking love Louis C.K.
Oh yeah, he's probably both of our favorite comedian.
Yeah, he's right up there with Bill Burr.
Totally.
Which ironically is absolutely one of my favorite guests. Like anytime he's ever been on Conan, I laugh my ass off. Him and Bill Burr just have this great rapport together.
They do.
I think he just kind of got full of himself and just too political, and it was just one of those where it's like, dude, you'll be fine if you just play it straight like you already are. And
right.
So some other names: Lori Kilpatrick, Vanessa Bayer from SNL, Mike Birbiglia. Yeah, it was so funny seeing him be on because he talked about what it was like, and Paul Scheer.
Mike Bahuski.
Yeah.
Paul Scheer is actually one of my slept-on favorite people in everything he's in.
Yeah.
Like, I love How Did This Get Made, the podcast. I listen to every episode religiously.
Yeah, even when they don't do their homework on the crazy movie, it is just great to hear his voice and see him and his wife, June Diane Raphael, do a bunch of different comedy TV appearances.
Paul, June, and Jason are like my idols in podcasting. I love them. I would die a very happy man if I even got to ever talk to any of them.
Why isn't Conan your idol in podcasting?
Conan didn't really. He isn't really a forefather of podcasting.
No, he's
They've
not.
been in it for a long time. Conan kind of joined late.
Right.
Where I love Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. It's great. You know, he started very late in the podcast game.
Yeah. He's always having various people like Jack Black and Dana Carvey on, and then he'll have some other ones. I was digging his talk with the singer Amy Mann. I was just like, wow, they actually got real here. They bullshitted less this time, and I love the unpredictability.
He has a couple guests on that he gets real serious with.
His assistant Sonia just released her memoir, The Worst Assistant Ever, and it's a hysterical thing. Again, just back and forth, and she's kind of pretty cool in her own right, because she never expected to get this long running assistant gig, working TV. None of them did. All of them were just average Joes, and I think that's what makes it a little more real, is like people who didn't expect to work in any kind of entertainment industry, and here they are. And
right.
She was even on one of his last guests on his show because Kumail Nanjiani couldn't make it,
Oh,
So she came out and
Yeah.
talked to him for like 15 minutes. It was
Man,
great.
thank you. I'm so would have spaced on that.
yeah, and it's funny that he does like that format of show because to me it feels very. If you guys have ever listened to You Made It Weird with Pete Holmes,
Oh yeah.
obviously,
yes. Oh my
obviously
God.
Pete Holmes is goofy as hell, but they definitely like have moments during that show. He talks to them for like 2 hours, so they definitely have moments where they get really deep and they
Well,
talk
he's
about
another
religion.
one who worked for Conan for a while and like
That makes
idolizes
sense
the
to
man.
me why his show on TBS was afterwards, and
Yeah.
Conan was executive producer.
Conan literally got him that show. Yeah,
Conan loves Pete Holmes.
yeah, it does.
I think that's why everyone else also kind of likes him, because like, he married into a gal who was like doing like working at an insurance firm, and as a result of that marriage, he's now like a distant cousin of Dennis Leary. But yeah, he
Yeah,
they've all been in so many different parts of the industry. I mean, he wrote a freaking like TV pilot that didn't get picked up that had Adam West
yes, he
like
did.
as a private eye, and you guys can YouTube that and you'll instantly see a ton of just like total is like this could have been a Conan skit. And
Oh yeah, that one episode that didn't get picked up, it's become like a cult classic now amongst Conan fans.
yeah, he definitely has a lot of his folklore. Even just a simple like phrases he would use like would just get instantly like picked up. Like I remember when he used the word crunk and took
Yeah.
a total different form, like just to get drunk and cool at the same time or some bullshit. Let's mash it together, see what happens. I'm crunk.
You get crunk.
When he hosted, I think it was the Emmys that one time, and he was like jumping off a plane. It was expensive as all get out, and I remember like someone complained like on the East Coast or some shit before it even aired because there had been a plane. Is like, no, you idiots, this was in the can a long time ago. Do you think they just did this live? But I love how he's like going around and he's sabotaging a bunch of other TV shows. He's trolling Jack Bauer on 24, and he's like, me, Kiefer, shut up. And then he walks into another room, and next thing you know, he's on an episode of How to Catch a Predator. I'll never forget. I could tell some of those code names had taken off because there was a few YouTube channels that were always uploading Conan clips, and one of them was the name he is dubbed by Chris Hansen, called Cone Bone 69. I just loved it. He walks in and he totally looks like a predator without realizing he looks like a predator. He's like, what am I doing here? Oh, I'm on camera. I'm used to that.
That had to have been Conan's idea because he's always making jokes that he looks like a predator.
Yeah.
Oh, well, and if you've heard his podcast, don't you love how he's always talking about? It's like, I just listen to true crime podcasts because I just want to know how easy is it to murder. He loves to play that out there. If there's no body count, I don't want to watch this damn movie. It's boring.
Why don't you have a seat, Conan? Would you like a slice of pizza? No. Who are you?
How about some sweet tea?
Oh shit! Oh my god! So Scott Thompson, the Kids in the Hall, also did some earlier skits. Skylar Hiley was a comedian who later worked for Conan for 6 months post-COVID, having previously worked for The Onion. And he was
The
a cool
Onion.
comedian.
Is that still a thing?
Yeah,
It is.
the AV
the
Club.
satirical.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, The Onion still exists. Huh?
It's wild. Oh man, so JP Bucks was another one. He was the booking agent, booking talent, stand-up talent for Conan, who would do like 5-10 minutes, and he was doing much of the same during a 90s reboot of Star Search, and was previously a private PA for Mariah Carey in 96.
Oh really?
Jeez.
And it was so funny hearing him on the show. He's like, I literally can't talk about this without getting sued. But I'll just say I hated every minute of it. But Andrew Weinberg was one of the experts who would find all the Walker Texas Ranger clips in the Pull the Lever sketch, and he hated it. But he first worked as a research assistant intern after his mother, who worked in daytime TV, suggested he try interning on his favorite show. And he later co-created Eagle Heart with Mike Cohen, which was pitched as Larry Saunders meets Walker Texas Ranger. You guys might have seen that Chris Elliott Adult Swim show, but yeah, that was a Conan joint. Oh man, so yeah, Robert Smigel also, when he wasn't doing the Triumph interviews, or going back and writing for TV Funhouse on SNL, he would do a lot of the clutch cargo or cardboard cutouts where they'd put a famous celeb and he would be like the mouth that was moving. And
Oh yeah.
he did the various presidents and Arnold Schwarzenegger and sometimes
the Friends cast when the show was over.
I need to rewatch that. Dude, so here's one that does not get talked about. No, why does no one remember the hysterical like Jeff Goldblum sketch where he would just show up and just like Conan would tell him something, they'd cut to his reaction, and basically he turns into like an evil version of himself, and he's just throwing trays everywhere. Son of a bitch! It was.
I think most of the world refuses to acknowledge that Jeff Goldblum has that in him.
Yeah, he can totally be a serial killer.
Bro, Jeff Goldblum, like the man, is way more of a character than any character he's ever played.
Yes.
Oh man,
they should just let Jeff Goldblum play Jeff Goldblum in a movie.
I like what you're wearing there. Nice. That's
beautiful. Conan does his impression like, oh. Jeff Goldblum's just like, you're so good.
So, isn't he good, folks?
I think that man genuinely loves Conan O'Brien.
Yeah, he does.
Oh man,
what'd you do to your thumbnail there?
He said in the one thing that he has dinner with Jeff Goldblum more than any other celebrity that he knows.
Oh, did he?
Yep.
Yeah, he loves Timothy Olyphant, but he definitely loves freaking
Timothy Olyphant. Will Arnett. He's with him a lot.
Right.
Not who's the other one? Will Arnett's like he was in Arrested Development.
Will Arnett is totally a serial killer.
Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman.
Will Arnett, but he's scary. I know, but he is so scary. When
he's literally Dracula.
That I would pay to see that. I really would. I would pay to see Conan Arnett as a vampire.
You don't have to pay to see Will Arnett as a vampire because next year Nicolas Cage is going to be Dracula. So
yes.
Let's wait.
Finally.
What everybody's been asking for years.
All we need now is his Superman movie to come out.
That's right.
Oh my God.
Kevin Smith could make it happen still.
Yes, we still talked about Nicolas Cage. I love it.
Oh, fuck yeah. Always.
Oh man.
That man has an unbearable talent.
Yeah, he does.
Man.
Yeah, I think my favorite
they did used to do that for a while where they would take all his WTF moments from
I think my favorite running gag on Conan is probably every time that Paul Rudd comes in.
Yes. Okay, so for those who don't know, anytime Paul Rudd was on, it started in I think was it the late 90s or 2000s?
There was late 90s.
Okay, and they had access to all kinds of junk that was just shown on movie channels and cable TV, and they took one from the infamous Mac and Me, which was an ET, knockoff, and recently featured on Mystery Science Theater, and
one of the worst scenes in that movie too.
Right, just take a random scene where someone in a wheelchair is just falling off a cliff, and Dave Letterman would do a few different things like that. I remember when Real Still had come out and Hugh Jackman was the guest, and they play a random clip of like from a 50s B picture of two giant robots fighting each other, guys in suits, and it was like, "See, Real Still, everyone, go see it." And I was like, "Oh, yeah." It was a total just throwing him for a loop where he's like, "Oh, okay, I guess that's what's going in the can."
And Paul Rudd always sets it up like he's showing him a clip from his newest movie.
He has learned to play along. Face, yeah. He's always, you got all the horror movie things in the background, for God's sakes, for a guy who was in all kinds of crazy, just nutty dating comedies, direct-to-video movies, even I think Halloween 5,
he was.
And Friends. I think, Paul is game for anything. That's why he's just so lovable. I did not, for the longest time, I did not put two and two together. It's like, he's Sex Panther on Anchorman. Oh wow,
he sure is. Brian Fantana.
Fantana.
Oh man,
what a legend!
60% of the time, it works every time.
Every time.
Have you guys seen his latest getting Conan with that clip?
I'm sure I did. I don't remember how any of them end because I'm always just thrown for a loop. Like, when are they going to show the clip? When are they going to show the clip? They showed the clip.
They showed the clip.
Well, it wasn't even video this time. He was on Conan's podcast.
Oh, Jesus.
And played it during the podcast.
Just the audio?
All you heard was the audio. And then Conan goes, I didn't think you were going to do that on an audio format.
Wow.
You still did it.
Man.
That's
need to
taking it to the
re-listen.
next level.
It is great seeing them in the studio because they do have a larger than life thing, and you might as well be in there with them because it's just getting very intimate one minute, and then the next minute it's always even better just hearing Conan curse when he can't say on TV, and
Yeah,
Right.
he has.
it is a little weird, off-putting almost.
You're right, Conan. Oh no, but yeah, it is. You even hear even more bloopers on some of the various videos he's uploaded. I mean, there's so much leftover footage, so he definitely made great use of viral video. I love how he's gone in recent years. He was just traveling to different countries, and I can't wait for the launch. So I see so many others who are like, oh, he's off the air. I'm like, for now, he's still got an HBO Max show in the works, and
Yeah.
he's going to figure out a safer audience, but he's set for life. And
I think Conan was definitely ahead of the curve, knowing that like cable TV is kind of dying off.
Yeah, he got out at the right time.
Yeah, with streaming services, like it's almost becoming obsolete.
yeah, he was always in danger of cancellation, but then
It was.
his budget was always in view. Even one of the guys that they had this other prick that they mentioned recently, who basically their job was to just pretty much just micromanage. Even though that wasn't even the extent of his powers, he was just there to just make sure it was getting done on time and give him studio notes. But he got to where he's like, no one fucking watches your show, just be a real dickbag. And then next thing you know, he's going to like the guy's going to his like son's like college summer camp or something, and he asked him, yeah, so what are you watching right now? Surely you're watching Carolyn in the City or Jag, the major shows. And the kids repeatedly are saying, no, we're watching this guy called Conan. It's a great laugh before bedtime. It's like, yeah. So I think, yeah, like you say, he did kind of create his own depth of a cult underground kind of scene. Because that was kind of just, you looked forward to kind of wanting to stay up, and he wasn't too naughty to where you're like, I better not, do this in front of adults. And at the same time, I mean, just infectious, just really great at just being a magnet and just gluing everyone in. And so whenever, I mean, I didn't watch the MTV Movie Awards for the longest time, but when he hosted that one year, I want to say 2012 or some shit like that, I was down. It's like, I will put up with all this other crap because he doesn't take it seriously. It's just like when Seth MacFarlane was at the Oscars, you loved it because they're like the anti-host. They're just coming on in larger than life persona, and even the execs are going to gladly let them talk shit because they're just glad to have a famous persona that's generating ratings. And he just handled all the weird interviews very well, and all his writers would often just be just consistent with each other. Is like, okay, I'll be in your crazy skit, and no one knows it's going to work until they try it out. And Frank Smiley would play hotel room trashing Mother Teresa. Michael Gordon was the masturbating bear, and then they were hysterical because they talked about like the only two interviews that went south were Eartha Kitt from original Batman and filmmaker Abel Ferreira.
Okay.
Brian McCann played Money Shot Lincoln, and he was so blown away when he found out there was a rock band that had named themselves after it, believe it or not.
There's a lot of people out there that love Conan.
I don't know what the obsession was with all Abraham Lincoln, because Mike Sweeney would also be in one where Abraham Lincoln is just going around kissing dudes. And it was so funny because his kids would recognize it because the show was like replayed on other channels. He would be in the promos and they're like, Daddy, is that you? He's like, why are you kissing a guy? Are you unfaithful to mom? He would be like, oh,
well, me and mommy have a deal.
We have a deal. I get paid.
I'm on what's called a hall pass.
When Conan started too, when they handed him the reins, they did not want him to have Andy Richter on the couch.
No, they didn't.
They wanted him to kill that completely.
Conan had and they'd all done like kinds of movies too. Conan is like one of the extras in like the Coneheads film, and Andy had worked on Cabin Boy. That's where they met Chris Elliott.
Yes.
But yeah, they're like, who the fuck is this unknown named Andy? And I think Richter's two sitcoms have become kind of cult shows in their own right. His Controls the Universe, which he did with
Yeah.
Forget Brewster, and he had her on recently to talk about it. And that one where he's like the mock Private Eye was very funny. He was making fun of all kinds of sitcoms and all other sorts of meta stuff, and just you can't blame any of them for even just sticking with Conan for a while. It's like it's paying the bills, and they get the freedom to they get the most freedom out of anything else, because like Andy got so sick of just dealing with executives and having to tell them, it's like, are you just going to give me money to make something funny or not, because one of the other head writers, I forget his name, was like a showrunner on like other sitcoms like Just Shoot Me, and Andy was talking about how he went there one time and he hated the whole just studio audience that's set up at a sitcom versus late night where it's all authentic, because basically before there's even a studio audience and producers go out to tell people to laugh, there's like producers and writers would be during the first rehearsal and they would start saying laugh force their laughter, and Andy would be like, well, that doesn't sound funny.
Yeah, right.
And he noted how one of his earliest gigs, and he was at a TV pilot rehearsal, and it was like a sitcom where Jeff Garland played a cop, and in the studio audience was Kate Flannery, Meredith from The Office, and Bob Odenkirk before they became better known. Yep. And it was interesting how he was meeting all those familiar faces there, because again, he never expected to be the wingman for Conan, and next thing you know, he's getting notes like he should be a spy. Keep an eye on that guy, Conan. And it's like, no, he's my friend now. I'm loyal to him. And it is the funniest thing though was having from the E Street Band, and Bruce Springsteen, Max Weinberg, the drummer, assemble his band, because he only met Conan after meeting him. Like, he stopped Conan at a stoplight because he remembered him pre-show from a Tom Snyder interview on CNBC. And Conan had him book an interview with producer Jeff Ross, and Max did not have a band yet, but he remembered this little known guy from a record he had done called
puts
Killer Joe, that was known as Jimmy Vivino, and that's how the late band formed. And it's like, prior to that, they were just, again, getting booked for music stuff with Jim Pitt and weddings, and Max is like, I think we're set for life. I loved how he would interact half the time, because he literally was on 30 Rock all the time, like using their gym, and had all their own dirty jokes going back and forth.
That puts me in mind of did you hear Conan's story, like about how he went on tour for those 7 months because he wasn't allowed to be on television?
Yeah, just
so when he went on tour, I guess
insulting, but I loved seeing those clips, and the documentary Can't Stop, just talking about.
I guess on one of his appearances, somebody told him, "Did you hear about this? That Neil Young was in the audience?" and Conan said he never gets nervous anymore, but he was terrified because he's playing guitar in front of Neil Young, and he said right when he's getting ready to do a solo, he said he looks up in the crowd and there's just this perfect beam of light right on Neil Young's face. So Conan was terrified.
You could tell his people were doing the perfect kind of scouting, and I loved how it would get even more meta. Like, he would do the whole if he didn't like a scat that they had done, it's like he would just flat out just say, wow, I wonder who thought that was funny. He would always just kind of do it, be a meta dick. And it was like, that was great. And like you said, I was getting just so sick of Jay Leno during that time, because NBC wanted him for the ratings, and yet he didn't really want to do it, but he couldn't say no to the money. And I was like, Jay, you're past your prime. And did you ever have other people in your family who didn't care for him? I had grandparents who loved all kinds of comedy, and for whatever reason, they did not get or like Conan. They just thought he was random and stupid, and I couldn't believe it.
Conan. I guess I could say that Conan's an acquired taste. He's more high energy than a lot of your traditional Johnny Carson, David Letterman.
There's this dude on IMDb who, for the longest time, there was every once in a while people would troll and say Conan, he needs to give it up. Back when IMDb was finally, getting put away, I was like, are you for real?
That would say Conan needs to give it up.
Yeah, I don't. Perhaps you mean Jay Leno.
Yeah, right. I think you got the wrong guy. Yeah, maybe I should give it up. Yeah. Jay Leno there.
Jimmy Kimmel even said it, I think, at best, is just Conan. Both he and Conan did not approach this as a rivalry like Letterman and Leno did, where they would steal each other's.
Letterman and Leno hate each other.
Yeah, I think it was like Letterman did the whole sketch where he would interview random people in New York, and Leno started doing that, and he did his own take on it. It was jaywalking, and I mean, there's been plenty of movies that have talked about the late night wars, and I mean, that's why Gary Shandling came up with Larry Saunders. He's like, I don't want to be a late night host. I got to be scripted, so that's why I'll do a show that makes fun of Letterman Leno-esque, persona.
Yes, and one of the funniest moments in late night history was when Jay Leno had Jimmy Kimmel on, like on that big screen. He's like, what's the funniest prank you ever pulled on someone? Jimmy Kimmel's like, oh, I know. Once I told this guy that I would give him a show in 5 years, and then I took it back after 6 months.
Oh.
Jay's like, yeah, I get it.
Damn.
A lot of other hosts really hated Jay Leno for doing that.
Most late night hosts came to bat for Conan. Like they were almost all on his side.
Yeah, and even when Conan was even appearing on other shows, he really didn't need to do it. And it kind of helped that Letterman would, like, when he was signing off and moving to his new block, moving from, I think it was NBC to CBS.
Right.
He gave Conan a great, like, tribute, like in his like last episode, where he's like, I haven't met that Conan guy. I hear he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
But next time you meet him, you might ask him why he shot that one guy. So it's like, this is a great intro. Just literally just have all these questions and just outrageous. Just
I love when Conan had to do, like, he was told that Jay Leno was taking the show back, and he still had to do like a month worth of shows.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Norm Macdonald came on with a welcome basket.
Yes.
That was one of my favorite skits of all time, because the letter was just like congratulating him. It'll never go away. You'll always have this show.
Norm's like, should I still read this?
Yeah.
Connor's like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I just got fired by SNL. And that's the other, you know what's ironic is the asshole who fired Norm, who pressured Lorne to fire him from SNL because he was friends with OJ. That dick was apparently, just always putting people on the spot. And Conan only met him like that one time where he's like, you're going to be a star now, right? But right meaning that you're not going to say no, are you? And so it's just so funny. And much like anyone he'd put people on the spot and then be so mad when he would see the product and not like what he saw. And it is just so funny how just all these characters have just kind of finally taken a hike. But yeah, Norm was just great when he got on during the TBS era, Conan, because basically, he just
Norm's probably my favorite guest, like, that was ever on Conan. I just resaw the one skit where he's saying, well, see, Conan, I think I'd make a great late night host, and they just totally play along with it. He just right.
comes on in, and Fred Willard is like the guest, and he's shaking everyone's head, and he's like, we're totally not rehearsed, totally not for this.
Yeah.
We'll return after these messages.
Do you ever find yourself thinking about who would win in a fight between Goku and Superman? Hi, I'm James Gavsey, and on the Who Would Win show, me and my co-host Ray ignore anything important happening in the outside world and debate fictional battles between characters from comics, movies, and video games.
We got a new show every week, and almost always am I the winner.
Yeah, not true, Ray.
In the past, we've discussed such matches as Captain America versus Darth Vader, Solid Snake versus the Iron Giant, classic matchups like RoboCop versus Terminator, and even the Muppets versus Sesame Street.
That one was crazy. So if you're a fan of geek culture and love a spirited debate, check out the Who Would Win show wherever you get your podcasts, or check us out at whowouldwinshow.com.
We let things pile up in the DVR, we add them to our queues, we wait for the DVDs and Blu-rays. We time shift. The Time Shifters Podcast. Sci-fi, horror, fantasy, superheroes, comedy, action, film, television, maybe some not-so-current events. Find us on iTunes or at timeshifterspodcast.com.
Cool thing about Blind Knowledge is we are in multiple countries. We are worldwide all across the globe. We are in the US. We are in the UK. We are in Canada, Germany, India, Japan. We're in Australia, y'all. BlindKnowledge.com. Now back to the feature presentation.
Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, Naruto, all things that we love, all manga that were originally published in the legendary magazine Weekly Shonen Jump.
But not every series can run for 300 chapters and have a hit anime. This is David.
This is Jordan.
We're the hosts of Shonen Flop. Each episode we look at manga that ran in Jump that didn't quite make it.
We discuss what it did wrong, what it did right, how the series could have turned itself around, and ultimately, was it a flop or not?
We're on all your favorite podcast apps, and you can find us at shonenflop.com.
Keep on flopping, floppers.
Ah, yeah.
I love it. Norm McDonald.
Hey, where's Billy? Dude, he's
I really
school.
cried inside so much. I think it was like the SNL Nerds podcast who did a really great tribute to him, and they were reanalyzing his movie Dirty Work, as well as his short-lived TV shows, and what, much like Conan, they were the same kind of mind, this meta stuff, as well as just what they got away with, was just right. They didn't rely on even just profanity. Like, you could tell them, okay, not you can't say this word and that word, and they would work around it. And I mean, going back to your earlier point, when Conan found out he was, being rescheduled and fucked over by NBC, I loved how he got even more just intrusive at that time, where he would just bring in an expensive car, and he's like, that's NBC's money burning on the street. Yep. That doesn't even have anything with the shit that we're gonna do late night tonight. And
yeah, he's like, all week we've been introducing these expensive jokes, and he's like, and they're not even funny, but they are expensive.
Oh yeah, they are expensive. And
he had like the horse and a Snuggie.
Yeah, he wouldn't even mention him by name, but he's
the
like
McLaren.
The McLaren.
He brought in the fucking $200,000 car or something
just to rub it in. And
yep.
I'm sure everyone was thinking that behind the scenes, like, hey, I mean, if they're going to cancel this, might as well just use their money and send a message. And I love how he was able to.
Exactly why they did that.
It kind of sucked how Paramount, did that with Colbert. He has to ask them permission to use his Colbert Report alter ego at times. I'm like, that's some dog shit. But I love how Conan was able to finally buy back his whole library and upload his very first episode on TVS. And
yeah, because for a long time there, that was all hidden behind a wall he couldn't get to.
They kept removing the clips. Fans kept re-uploading them, and
goddamn pay to win bullshit.
Yeah, and pay to win.
Oh wait, this isn't a video game episode.
Yes, it is.
Oh, Corey. Speaking of video games, I'm surprised you haven't brought up another one of your favorite Conan segments.
Gamer segment on TVS.
Clueless Gamer is
Clueless Gamer.
One of my favorite segments he does.
That's where I thought you were going right away.
Who's the moderator in that? Who's helping him with the game controllers? I've only seen him in that segment. I think he's in one of the feature.
Blake.
They need to get him on the show. He'd be a great interview.
What is his name?
But he just plays so great. Just you're seeing Conan
he's
play
an executive
everything.
Producer. He does the Inside Conan podcast.
Oh, okay. So Blay. Okay, perfect. Yes, he's awesome. But yeah, you're seeing Conan play all kinds of games. He was playing like the newest Hitman video game, and he's like, well, that's not where I would hide a body. And then he's playing the newest Tomb Raider, and he's just
perving out.
Yeah, I love how everyone's just like, oh, what are you doing? You're just circling around. It's like, I'm just enjoying the view.
He comes back and says, the producers have told me I have to stop perving out so much.
You're right. Each time he makes a jump, he almost always gets the character impaled in like one of the many death traps.
Yeah. And there's so many, like, obviously there's like PewDiePie and Markiplier and Jacksepticeye and all those people. But like I would pay good money to watch Conan play through a whole game with his commentary.
Me too.
I would love to see him do movie commentaries even.
Oh, like, yeah.
Science theater style, or just show up as like, I didn't work on this movie. I might be playing myself as a talk show host in that one corner, but that's it.
Somebody asked him one time about they said, what was it like working? This is a conference or like a thing he had at Google years and years ago. He was speaking in front of Google workers, but like someone asked him, like, so what's it like to work with the comedy legends Terrence and Phillip in the South Park movie?
Oh my God.
Conan's like, funny enough, I didn't even know I was in that movie. he said he opened up the USA Today like a week later, and they were reviewing South Park and like showing all the cast and who played them, and he looked and said Conan O'Brien. He's like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
man, they don't care.
Brent Spiner from freaking Data and Star Trek and Phenomenon did one hell of a job playing him in that movie, because kind of go instead of just trying to capture his voice, he kind of goes for the hey man, you just
yeah, he does
low pitched voice, kind of like on TV Funhouse.
And I guess the guy that was doing it, he told Trey Parker and Matt Stone, right?
Matt Stone.
Yeah.
Trey Parker. He told Trey Parker and Matt Stone, he said, "Oh, guys, I do the best Conan impression." And then he got in the sound booth and started recording. They're like, "What the hell is that?" They're like, "Well, it's too late now. Might as well just go with it."
He snuck his way into a job. It's fine.
Yeah, but the way Conan explains it at the conference, like, he's so good at taking subject matter that shouldn't be funny, but it's just the way he delivers it.
Anyone else would seem like a perv or anything. Like when he's going around to like famous like sexy celebrities' houses, that was always funny, because like he was playing on it. It's like, I'm not stalking, but I kind of want to be here in the house with you, and he does it in a way where, again, everyone knows he's in on the joke. It's never because like I think Boston Legal is a perfect a TV show example. There's so many other shows now where they're just bound to get into all these cancel culture wars, because they're just either go too far for any person's comfort, or they just don't warn enough idiots ahead of time. It's like, we're going to be crazy over the top. And I think he just has the perfect line of, something crazy is going to go down. You don't know when or where, but even the most stubborn person knows what they're in for.
Right.
You're goofy enough. And
and when he's talking about the South Park movie, though, the way he says it so casually just made me bust up laughing. He's like, no, but it's a lovely little segment. He's like, in the movie, they just come on my show to talk about their new movie, and I commit suicide. Just the way he says it, like, it shouldn't be funny, but he knows what he's doing. He makes it hilarious.
Has he had the South Park guys on his show? I thought he had them. I know the Daily Show had him on.
I don't know.
They haven't been on a lot of shows, actually.
Yeah, he said he's gotten to know them since that movie came out, and he loves them. But I don't know if they've ever been on a show.
They don't do a lot of interviews. That's why that was such a big deal when they did that short documentary about the one episode, the Human Centipede episode. That was why it was such a big deal that came out, because they don't typically share their
like
process.
The Wachowskis. They're very private, and they just want to be left to their device instead of.
Okay, I do see one appearance with them in 2004 with them, and one in 2019. So they've been on a few times.
So they've been on.
So they must really like them.
Okay, so the 2019 one has to be the Daily Show appearance. Maybe they were on Kimmel late at night, but yeah.
Yeah, there's one with Conan too, January 19th.
Oh, okay, so there you go. I'll check them out.
Yeah.
There's plenty of sites where you can watch a lot of these movies and shows on here. I'm sure HBO Max has most of his great appearances. Obviously, you can get stuck, and I've done it before, just watching endless Who's Line and Conan clips without even meaning to.
Yeah.
Even if they have the most unrelated like tags, they're going to come up, and you'll watch it just because it is just so anti-TV in a way. Like kind of like Tim and Eric were just
a
bizarre addition to Adult Swim, where they're the equivalent of TV you would watch in hell. And some people would be like, I get what they're going for, I just still hate them. And other people are like, I love this. And I think Conan is just kind of critic proof, even though there's so many who praise him, and many comedians will even note that they would even just be watching him and find him inspiring. That I think is the real kicker here, is like no one knows who inspires the other until years later. And I think he just, again, the fearlessness, the self-deprecating style, let's just go gun it. Let's go for it. Even if it doesn't work, it works.
People tend to forget that because he's such a silly goofball, that he's a Harvard graduated, very intelligent man.
Yeah.
People tend to forget that because he's so good at acting the fool.
He's the educated buffoon where and even other talk show hosts, guys, are kind of reluctant to even parody themselves. And I mean, he had to. He's got the crazy orange hair,
The long
very
limbs.
athletic, where he's making him look like he's like pretending to be in overalls and he's being puppeteered. He does all these other things.
His skin literally bursts into flames if he goes outside.
That's right.
String dance.
People keep saying he looks like Tilda Swinton in other countries.
Which he does.
Yeah.
I mean, Conan, hilarious. But I mean, when he turns it on and he wants to be serious, he's great at that too. Like that 2011, that 2011, that Dartmouth commencement speech he did. Still one of my favorite things I've ever watched.
I've gone back and watched it a few times when I'm feeling like I need inspiration.
Right.
That and Jim Carrey had a really good one too.
Yes, he did.
I did not expect him to be the masturbating bear.
No.
Yes, I did see that. That's even on his Team Coco site.
Team Coco.
Oh man,
who gave him that nickname, right?
It's been a minute.
Tom Hanks.
That's right. Yes,
he was the first one to call him Coco, and
he was
Conan
one
did
of the
not
first
like
to
it.
Congratulate him.
He was. Conan didn't like it, but it stuck, so it's Coco now.
Well, that's because Conan always steers into the things he doesn't like.
Of course, right?
Yeah, that's so true too. Because like that's improv as a whole. Is like if you negate, then you got no material, and he's just like, "That's terrible. Let's do it."
Of course.
I'm awful at it.
When you actually get angry or defensive or something like that's not funny.
Nope.
Oh man,
those are the people that just don't make it.
You're right. They don't get it.
Well, and he does give credit where credit's due. He never fell victim to that. He gave everyone their due. He'd always be like, let's try another show out with you, for Adult Swim or what have you. And he would bring them out and often have them be like talking with other people, and that was hysterical because they'd make their awkwardness work or what have you. And
one thing he's always been amazing at is he's had a lot of unknown comedians come on and give 5 minutes. He's very good to stand-up comedians. So have I. Like one of the funniest things that's ever happened on that show, and it's really, I can't even watch the whole 5-minute clip because it's annoying, but it's so funny that he had John Doerr and Adam Pally out, and they did a whole 5-minute set right beside each other. And you couldn't hear what either of them were saying because they were both talking the whole 5 minutes.
Right.
It was hilarious, but it's not funny at the same time. Like
right.
He knew that was going to be funny because they did the whole 5-minute set.
Yeah,
he couldn't understand either of them.
Yeah, see, that's the genius of Conan. Like, that's not a good idea, but that's what makes it hilarious.
Exactly.
Yeah, just try out shitty ideas.
Two comedians doing a routine right beside each other. That's
Mr.
hilarious.
How about when he took Mr. T to the cherry orchard? And like, that's the skit. I'm having a crazy celeb and we're just going around at a random village that makes different kinds of apples.
Right.
Crops.
How about when he fucking went down to Mexico and asked and told them so Trump said you guys are paying for the wall. He was interviewing.
That was great.
Conan's like, do you want to donate to the wall fund? The one guy gave it a middle finger.
That was great.
Conan's got some balls to go right to Mexico and be like, so Trump said you're paying for the wall.
He goes to he ends up on one of their telenovelas. He goes to Israel, and the guy who's in the hit TV Netflix show Fada casts him as a terrorist suspect who interrogates him one episode.
He's got some balls.
How about when he and Stephen Wynn from The Walking Dead decide to cross the North-South Korea border, and you can even see the guards are cracking up. It's like, nope, can't let you in. Nope. I know what you're doing, but no, don't let anyone in. And who can forget when they're in Japan and he's just saying just all kinds of awful stuff. And every time, one of the entertainment ladies goes, he's like, I just said you're going to get murdered. I just said this is a very stereotypical dragon lady area. And it just keeps clapping. And it's like, she so does not know what I'm saying, but I'll work with it.
He walks the line between offensive and hilarious so closely. Like, he's a brilliant man. He knows exactly
how to walk
where
it back
to stop.
too. He knows how to be the butt of the joke. He knows how to
exactly. He always brings it back to himself, so no matter what he says, you kind of don't take it wrong.
it wasn't like when you would see like I'd be checking out every once in a while at the grocery store, and every once in a while I'd encounter someone who thought like Stephen Colbert kind of did that, where he's like, I'm doing a voice of myself and then I'm playing a character, and I would see people who would take the character way too seriously, like, oh, he's a conservative like us. I'm like, no, that you've totally missed the joke. And Conan knows how to play a character, play a larger than life persona, and then at the same time, like you say, just take a beat, and then just sometimes even as simple as just looking at the camera, like, you know, with straight face, like, what did I just put myself in? You know, just,
right.
Instead of like divide the audience. And I think he also just loves just any kind of comedy, any kind of dramatically rewarding movie. And he and Kimmel would even, in their interview, I think it was back in like 2019 or something, they had a hysterical chat where they were talking about how, you know, Kimmel had come from radio, and Conan, again, you know, had just been a comedy writer, was given a chance and wanted to be atypical. And they talked about how it's such a bawling out chat that how basically, you know, if they hadn't seen a movie that, you know, their guest was in, you know, Kimmel had the chance of at least watching a clip, and Conan would just kind of be like, well, you know, he didn't want to bullshit. He just like, I haven't seen your movie, but people tell me you're fucking awesome.
Yeah, it sounds like something he would do.
He just totally just put that in their face. It's like, people tell me you're one hell of a guy. I haven't seen this movie. Why should I see it? You know, because
he's just never fake.
No, he's
not going to tell anybody I love this if he doesn't love it.
Right.
Yeah, and
he's not Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, Fallon was really bad. He had like a few different guests. I think he had Kiefer Sutherland on, and he was talking about Designated Survivor, and Kiefer just gets so bored with his style halfway in and just starts chuckling and says, you haven't seen my show, have you? And
just imagine
Fallon has no answer for anything. I remember when he was wrapping up and he had the Muppets on or something. I'm like, the Muppets are the best part of the show because Jimmy's just being such a crybaby right now, and you know, just when he's being rescheduled and everything. And again, just that fucking laughing at your own jokes before you tell him, like, dude, like if Conan was laughing at something before it was out, he would make it work and explain, I've fucked it up, but here, we're going to show the joke to you anyway because we got to fill the time.
The only time you see Conan laugh before he tells a joke is when he's like, I don't even know if I should say this out loud.
Right.
Like he'll laugh.
That
like,
is the best part.
Jesus Christ.
Saying it straight face. And it doesn't matter how many rehearsals, he'll even make it work into that way. He's just like, this is going to make you squint and wonder what we're doing. I really don't know what we're doing. So play the clip.
Just think, the Tonight Show had Conan O'Brien and they screwed him over. So their reward was Jimmy Fallon. They could have had Conan O'Brien still on the Tonight Show rocking it.
And you know what? I'm really glad that happened because TBS's Conan was better, way better than what he had on the late night.
He was able to get a little edgier there. I mean, for God's sakes, he was even in a Roger Corman Sci-Fi Channel movie. And I love how they talked about the sketch. It's like you get to be eaten by an alligator and you're uncredited.
Oh, you know he's excited for that.
He was so excited for that. And, I mean, just how they opened up first episode and he's like mocking the Godfather and he's getting like machine gunned.
Right.
What other talk show host does that? Everyone else is like afraid to put themselves in the spotlight. They just want to, and I mean, it's just, because you would see other people do that and they would get hypocritical after a while. Like Jay Leno got so desperate for ratings, he started breaking his own I don't curse rule. And I was like, whoa. I thought you said, go to this kind of comedy.
I'll give
I say the fuck word now. I do. I say
it. I'll give Jimmy Fallon one thing and one thing only.
What's that?
I like the games he plays on his show.
Oh yeah.
A lot of the stuff he does, like the Plinko drink board.
And his moderator's good. He was on a MTV show with like Jon Stewart back in the day. But yeah, it's just like the rest of his. You're watching Fallon for his guests and his games. Like you're not watching
Fallon for Fallon.
His interview is not compelling.
No, he's not a great he can't
even get a word in, and
he seems like a fun guy. Like I would hang out with him probably. Like he seems fun.
Oh yeah.
But as an interviewer, he's just not that talented.
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
it's like
that's how he was on SNL. He was just
It is.
they needed an extra guy, and he
broke during every skit.
Oh, everyone.
But yeah,
there's
because
many videos out there of him just breaking.
Because like it's a late night show, it's not just like a conversation. It's like a conversation like performance. You have to make it funny.
Yeah.
And I don't think Fallon's good at like the improv conversation, like making comedy out of it.
Yeah.
It's like Fallon's still a 5-year-old who got that toy he wanted. He's
You're
like,
right.
holy shit, it's mine.
One
Like,
that comes
he's
to
still
mind.
so excited.
One that comes to mind, of course, since we were talking about Louis C.K. is when he's on there. And did you see this one where Louis C.K. is talking about like how napping is his favorite thing?
Yes.
And Jimmy Fallon's like, Fallon's like, even more than sleep? Louis C.K. just looks at him. He's like, that's really dumb that you said that.
Yeah.
He just like killed the joke with a really dumb question.
And that's just it. Yeah, he is that guy who's just like, he has some okay ideas, but then you bring it in and you're like, no, dude, you literally killed everyone's momentum because you just
that's what he does. Sometimes he kills momentum. Yeah, Louis C.K. he was just dumbfounded. He's just looking at him. He's like, wow, that's really dumb.
What I mean is a concussion or getting knocked out. No.
He's like, sleep is the ultimate nap. Like, which I get what he was going for. Louis C.K. just roasted him. Which he's wanted to do.
It seems like that's been my other problem too, is some of the guys who were kind of great at just peeling layers were kind of assholes behind the scenes or got canceled. And then there's other ones who it's like they got too jerky for their own good, but it's a shame because they really did make some groundbreaking comedy at the same time, whereas like they're just showing how the depressing reality of it, and that's what really glued everyone to the screen. And like, this comedy is not easy. This at the end, because Conan, even when he had to stick with a script, would still find a way to go outside the line, and it sucks so much when every once in a while when you can tell even the best ones, have to go with a script and they gotten too carried away, and they're like, oh, okay. So I love how a lot of them, especially Colbert and Kimmel, would play into what Conan was doing. Is like, okay, my producer has a gun to my head right now. We gotta go to commercial when we come back.
Yeah, and my favorite Conan, honestly, is probably like when he goes to these like that Google thing, or when he goes and talks to like the Harvard kid. I love Conan just unscripted. His improv is unreal.
It's unbelievable.
That he really, in that recent chat on Inside Conan, he did go into that. Is like, I used to think you needed a stand-up background to do any kind of comedy. Is like I had just done improv work with the Groundlings. That's all I had, and I used it. And that improv I do find freeing. I still love those final days. I got so sick of my film department because they were not freeing and they were not even trying to be helpful. And I started hanging out with a lot more theater, and it's like, see, I got the real deal here. Because if you do any kind of comedy stuff in junior high or high school, it sucks. You don't have the right motivation or right crowd, and you're just you're getting points to memorize a speech for class, and half the time you got all the clowns in the front, mocking you. And in college, I really do love a lot of improv because you will actually be able to encourage each other. There are some people who have really just discovered their bizarre, wacky selves. Yeah. And I after doing improv, I used to get stuck up, just endless, decision making. Now I make a prompt decision now. I don't dick around. And I was like, sure, I'll book a flight. Sure, I'll
hell yeah,
ride 5 hours into wherever.
Yeah, in high school and college. I mean, high school is such a popularity contest. It's like you said, it's not the right crowd. When you get to college, like everybody, like people aren't judgy as much as they're in high school. They're like, yeah, cool, man, do your thing. Like,
yeah. I'm actually kind of glad, as much as into and obsessed with stand-up comedy as I was in high school. I'm kind of glad I waited to even try doing it until way after high school.
Absolutely. Wait for your insecurity to die down a little bit. And then again, like you say, find the right crowd who is laughing at you or with you.
Kids in high school are like, he's pursuing his dream. Look at that loser.
Yeah, the pricks have washed out by then. So now you're getting less of that, just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yep.
And again, like you say, you can concentrate. I even found a great way for me to memorize the speech, which is just take my glasses off. So even if a friend who I love, who's distracting as all get out, is fine, I can still get a good grade and move along with the scene. And what's funny is I had some other pals who found out about that, and they're like, "Ah, you bastard! I wish I followed your style."
Right. You found something that works for you.
Definitely the deal with Conan though too. It's like, hey, it just, I know what works for me versus I can't do this.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, same thing with Conan. He knows exactly who he is. Like he knows what works for him.
And as much as I love Conan, and I do, he's like my hero in comedy. I don't have the energy to be a Conan. Like if I were to pursue comedy full time and just do that, I would not be the high energetic.
I wouldn't see as many people say, I'll be the next Conan. I think everyone kind of knew. It was like, oh, he's doing some serious shit.
Yeah.
And it was kind of almost like, I mean, kind of like Howard Stern was changing the deal with radio. I feel like he was kind of changing not just late night, and like you say, blurring the line between how, after 10 o'clock TV can kind of be no different than cable,
right,
or shock jock radio. I think he was just kind of more like, he was the guy who's just like, whatever I do, I'm gonna invite you to come to the party with me, and we're gonna tell some crazy ass stories, and then it ends when it ends, not when I tell you to not stop sleeping on my sofa,
Right.
He was pleasant to go to sleep to after a while also. And I did look up your Google chat, and it's so funny. When I type that in, what also comes up is the time 2 years ago when he crashed a random Zoom meeting.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah. Like during the height of
they
COVID.
Were expecting like Michelle Obama or somebody to speak, and he just comes right on in. He's like, wait. No. And he's just very recognizable. Just, I don't know how he goes in public and doesn't get recognized. I think he's talked about it before, but I can't remember. And
yeah, I mean, he's 6'4" and he has hair that's
tall as all get out.
I wear a fake mustache.
Remember when he would say, yeah, the fake mustache, and he always does the squeamish kind of sound.
I know. I love his creepy guy voice, like.
Especially in the year 2000, he would make his voice echo a bit. Yeah. And that's before he has whatever. And he would have his random guests.
Yeah, that's right.
Say crazy shit. And it's like, no one else could have said that with a straight face. And guys were really good at playing along with him.
Every woman that came on, he go.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh man.
Who was that? Nicole Scherzinger. She's like, up here, Conan. And he's like, come on. I said, look what you're wearing. Like, I'm not going to look.
Yeah, he would. And they'd interrupt him every once in a while. I think it was either Jennifer Garner or Tyra Banks did the whole like.
Jennifer Gardner.
There you go. And he just did his.
That's one of my most cringy interviews I ever watched in my life.
Snuck isn't a word?
There was that.
It's sneaked.
Is like,
you're a Harvard graduated man. You should know better.
Snuck, past part of sneak.
Oh man, everybody. Yes, he would attack their snarkiness with snark, and but I'm trying to remember what was like the real first big time where he just like would wave his head all the way around.
Oh yeah, like with a woman.
Yeah, it was like that was always his okay. Is like, don't interrupt me, man. Don't kill my groove. And I've lost. I always wanted to. I doubt he would have taken my submission. I know you can submit like a voicemail, and he basically criticizes his crazy fans' voicemails. Yeah. But don't you love it when it's like he would do like the Twitter tracker, like briefly on TBS, but on both his NBC and TBS show, he would always have like fan corrections, and they would have way too much free time, and he would just always attack it. It was like on NBC, he was always staging a reaction. TBS, he would basically just get even more digital, like, no, this is actually in the history book. This is that.
The town that Adrian and I are actually from was on an episode of Conan one time.
Nice.
When he used to do his stupid people in the news.
Oh man,
there was a clipping from a town right next to the one we live in that said, "Woman gets caught trying to buy something at the dollar store with counterfeit $3 bills."
I didn't know that was near us.
That's Franklin.
Is it really?
Yep. And
that's 8 miles from our hometown.
Yep.
Oh, that's great.
And it is accurate to the town we live in. So
yeah. I love how you don't want to say the town.
If you know the area, it's very fitting.
Yeah.
It's all good. I'm sure Dallas, Texas got roasted once in a while. But
them way more often. That's definitely
they write themselves, so it was gonna happen. But I mean, the traveling definitely added a lot though, because you could tell they were making use of their expenses and what crazy stuff to do, and they had a backup plan. And it's so funny even when you see a blooper, because it doesn't feel hackneyed or like a bunch of guys who don't even deserve to be on TV. It is hysterical when the feed is just so raw. Every once in a while, one of the cameramen gets into the scene by accident, and they're just trying to keep the camera straight and not guffaw. Oh man.
Yeah, I love I love all those kind of segments. Like, I can't remember where they went. Do you remember the time where Conan and one of his like assistants went to some kind of brewery, like maybe it was Guinness or something?
He went to Guinness.
Vaguely, but yeah.
The person's like giving them the whole tour, and the whole time he's like, "Can we drink beer?" They're like, "Not yet." He's like, "When the hell do we drink beer?"
Yeah, just the perfect. Just he puts in the impatient persona and goes along with it, and
they're showing him room after room. He's just sitting there with like an empty mug.
Oh man. Yeah, and the tour guide is just like, "Thank you," and it's like, it's so funny how half the time you can tell they warned the person, "Hey, we're gonna do this type of thing," and it doesn't make any difference half the time. They're just,
oh yeah. And of course,
there's absolutely no way to ready somebody who's not an actor for Conan O'Brien.
Oh no.
Was it Brazil where he was teaching a Spanish class or whatever?
Yeah.
And they're all just guffawing. I was like, "Oh no, you gotta take me serious. I'm your teacher."
Conan just has like so much charisma; it's hard to keep up with him.
They're laughing before he even like raises his hand. Is like, because they just know it's coming. And
right.
Like you say, bracing yourself is pointless and inevitable at the same time. Like it's good to get geared up, but you don't know what to expect. Well, what White House Correspondents' Dinner was he at? I'm trying to remember.
He did one with Obama and one with Clinton.
Yep. That's what it was. He just show up, and he and Kimmel were even more kind of sneaky. Just like, whoa, I didn't know you could go there. I'm just expecting everyone else to kind of do like what Steve Carell and Colbert and Keegan-Michael Kay had done, just kind of off the wall personas, and you're kind of just, I'm waiting for it. Oh, that's the punchline. Oh.
Corey, titty Obama. Joe Gatto and Practical Jokers.
Oh my god.
Do you know the password? It's titty Obama.
I miss Joe Gatto.
We miss you, Joe.
Impractical Jokers is definitely kind of another just kind of atypical kind of style. It's like,
it's brilliant.
Even I think it's like they had a show that was on after Conan with Jamila Jamil from The Good Place called The Misery Index, and that was one of the production value wasn't there, but the humor was. So it was just like, yeah, this is fine, because this is totally what it is. I mean, they totally, I think Conan kind of just made TBS realize once he's gone, they need more content. They need more wacky stuff like Impractical Jokers that is on all the, it's
True
so
TV.
wild how True TV used to be, a crime channel, and now it's outrageous. It's not core TV anymore. It's just wacky,
it's literally Impractical Jokers, Misery Index, and
the Carbonara
effect.
Carbonara effect.
They might as well have retired the Game Show Network, because it's like, there's like, people don't want game shows even anymore. They want just wacky comedians, kind of like at midnight, just doing obscene things.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I loved it when Kimmel brought back Who Wants to Be a Millionaire that one summer, because he brought on all sorts of comedians, and half the time you're like, wow, they're actually pretty fucking smart, and the other is like, oh, they don't got a fucking chance, and then they unexpectedly win anyway.
Paper, snow, a ghost.
Something that's white. Paper, snow, a ghost. Joey Tribbiani. Speaking of friends, you guys knew Conan todated Lisa Kudrow back in the day.
He owes so much to her.
Yeah, she's the one that like told him like, you need to get in front of the camera.
Yes, he he always thanks her.
Yes, he
was
does.
so funny when he showed up on like her web therapy mock,
Right.
show, and he had her do his makeup like first few times when he was like getting ready and everything, and that got him in the mode, and he was like her first guest.
Right. So thank you, Phoebe, for being the best female character on Friends and starting Conan
Frasier
O'Brien.
doesn't know what they were missing out on.
Yeah, that's right.
It's so fucking stupid. It's like, she's not beautiful enough. I'm like, we're casting her because she's funny.
Yeah, exactly.
I am so sick with all these toxic males that are still around here. And it's just like, don't make all the rest of us look like pigs, dude. It's just, we should be able to. Conan walks the fine line of he's able to acknowledge everyone's perfections and make awkward jokes without just taking it too far. Or he would have even other crazy celebs who would be saying, "Oh, you came up in a weird dream about me first," and he was good at just walking that fine line. It's like, hey guys, just don't take this serious at all. We're on late night shit TV. Be here, but we are, and we're here to entertain you for 90 minutes.
Yep.
Are you talking about people saying that Lisa Kudrow wasn't pretty enough?
Yeah, that was like the notes
she was like
the Frasier producers gave.
She was like one of my childhood crushes growing up.
See, it was probably because of her humor too, though.
Well,
she's
yeah, I mean,
also
that was a part of
very out of all the Friends guys, she is a natural actress. Like, she's good at just fitting into any kind of scene, and I would see her in dramatic roles, and it's like, see, that I bought that. And the rest of the time, everyone else was just getting hired just because, hey, you're on Friends, not because you work for this role,
Yeah, like Hollywood's idea of beauty is so dumb. Like, if we saw Lisa Kudrow walking through our town, everyone would be like, "Damn, she's purty."
Exactly. Oh no!
And you could have an actual everyday chat with her as opposed to just one that went too far.
Yeah. Exactly, and also that's how people in our hometown talk.
Yeah, in case you're wondering, that was
damn,
accurate.
she's purty. That sound effect.
Mouth.
That sound effect was them spitting out their dip.
Oh my god. Oh, so Dara,
love it here.
Love it here. If you had to give Conan a career boost, what would it be? Would you have him be a president? Would you have him be a judge? Would you have him be
God,
his own cooking show?
Well, see, that could be entertaining
as long as he has the knife guys on.
Oh,
that was Kimmel. Never mind.
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the things...
there you go. He could have Kimmel and the Guillermo and the internet would come in.
One of the things we've already talked about, I would literally watch him like play video games with his commentary.
There you go. Okay, perfect.
Like, the YouTube channels like break it up into episodes.
Introducing Twitch for Conan.
Yeah, give Conan a Twitch. I'd watch it. A cooking show. I'd watch that.
They do a short video thing with Aaron Blair. He talks about video games with I don't remember the other girl's name, the cast member. Apologize, but they've had Conan on a couple times talk about video games, and he just doesn't give a shit. I love how much he doesn't care.
And Harvard, he actually designed a game.
Did he?
Yeah, he made like a funny NBA game where like the Boston Celtics came out and did like a little ballerina routine.
That's very Conan.
It's very Conan. And then,
oh man,
yeah. Or, I'd love to have Conan like as a guest judge on something like MasterChef or something.
Oh Lord!
Like they'd bring him up food. He'd be like, "What the hell is this?"
They would not get any cooking done. He'd be over there picking on him the whole damn time.
Gordon would be like, "Conan, get up here." Conan would be over there.
Quit bothering the guest donkey.
Right. They'd be like, "They only have an hour, Conan." Conan's like, "Did you hear about the guy that
Yeah, 1,000%. Do you guys love it when Puri Bernard was like his wardrobe consultant guy, smaller bald black guy?
Oh,
wait, what about him?
Yeah,
with the weird mannequin guy.
Yeah, it was like, and he just ended up half the time just acting in the various skits with them. And I love how they brought him on one time. It was like, Puri, you were just on your favorite show, Stargate SG-1, as an extra. They showed the clip, and but I think the last I saw him, is when he was doing like a Harlem Globetrotters skit, and of course Conan is so goofy, no one can play basketball normally. Oh man, so good. This has been a great time having you both on here, and I just love how this comedy kind of speaks to all of us. Like, you're gonna have to go through like the very bottom depths of the internet to find anyone just talking smack about Conan, like just most people find him pretty generally agreeable.
I mean, Conan's by far my favorite late night host that I've ever watched.
Oh, that's easy.
When he was at the comic conventions and he just made it to where he's like he's a super villain and he's molded a plastic version of his hair, and he's got Christian Stahl as another evil demon, and he fights Seth Green in a lightsaber battle. Hey, he got the Funko Pop
of the Conan, the flaming sea underneath his.
If there's a regular action figure, I will definitely buy it. I will add it to my collection.
I have 5 different Conan Funkos.
He really has adopted the Funkos pretty well.
Every con. Oh boy.
Have you guys seen my lightsaber?
This is a running gag on our podcast.
I love those because I was always doing the same shit with my friends growing up. Oh, let me show you my lightsaber.
And you know what the ironic thing is? I didn't bring in the lightsaber the episode we talked about the sequels, but I talk about it every unrelated episode of Star Wars.
Right? It's like so. What you're saying is that the Force got to you. It took you out of it.
Well, what I'm saying is the sequels don't deserve a lightsaber.
Oh, here we go.
Right? There's soulless movies.
That's a little teaser for our episode. People can check out.
Rogue One for the win. Oh.
Adrian doesn't like Rogue One.
Oh.
I don't hate Rogue One. I just don't love it like everybody else does.
It's all good. Mandalorian, it was the ultimate compromise. I take it you guys saw the Star Wars.
Agreed.
Yeah. I've yet to see anyone disagree on that one. But do you remember the segment when he was playing I guess the Lobot on Cloud City, and he had a bunch of other comedians, like Aisha Tyler was in green makeup, and I forget who Andy Richter was playing, but yeah, it's they had a bunch of other comedians. It's just the atypical opening, and you're like, oh, I'm watching Conan, but they're doing Star Wars skits. And it's I don't care that they're interviewing whoever from whatever.
I love all of Conan's cold opens during the Comic-Con when he's going to have a panel on. He did a Walking Dead one, and
he always asks an atypical question. He really makes use of the privilege as opposed to just feeling like, well, I'm cut for time. I can't ask you all these other crazy questions.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember he had the whole cast of The Predator on, and that movie had its hectic, behind the scenes stories and everything, and he just brought out all the amusing factors of all of them, asking him all kinds of crazy questions, and he got all kinds of responses I don't think you would get anywhere else. Just comedy has that way of doing that, and I think that's why everyone remembers all the various segments so much on his show, because everyone loves working with each other. I know, Sono and Matt and Conan they're back and forth, but at the end of the day, it's just siblings, unofficial siblings just joking amongst each other, basically.
I think him and Sona are legitimately brother and sister.
They totally are.
They love each other.
You need that too, just to have that, just like you say, cold open, and just half the time they're roasting each other or talking shit before the whole thing actually gets real, and it filters it out pretty well. And again, like you say, seeing all this evolution, seeing all these other kinds of gags that no one else would want to do or would think of doing, it's just it wrote itself, and at the same time, it is a groundbreaking comedy. And I get just so annoyed too nowadays when I even see some other YouTube star or comedian or other former comedian, and they would do a talk show host segment, and they just felt too scripted, or they weren't enjoying themselves, or they're being held back, so the creativity just was a miss. And I think a lot of people have had to find out the hard way. Yes, you have to get finished on time, but at the same time, you can't force humor. You got to let it play out naturally. You got to have them interact with the audience. You can't replay the same, laugh track.
Right.
And one thing I've even learned just from doing this is every once in a while, just because a joke is in your head, you don't have to spurt it out. Sometimes they're just going to die. You're thinking of something funny. You're not always going to get to say the funny thing. That's just how it is. And
you got to love working with each other. You'd hear all sorts of horror stories about people wanting to leave Letterman and due to creative differences, or Leno just was a dumpster fire of just jokes that never landed or didn't want to connect to one to the other.
I didn't think it was that bad.
Let's talk about my cars, me.
God damn it.
I got the chin. I got the chin.
I'll leave you with one thing I want to tell you about Conan that I think perfectly like encapsulates who he is. So I have this little fun fact here. So when Conan was in college at Harvard, obviously, him and a group of friends rented a jackhammer and dressed as construction workers. He called the Boston police and told them that teenagers like were illicitly using these uniforms and aren't real construction workers, so they would come like to the scene. And then he called state police and told them that people were impersonating police officers, so they would arrest the Boston police.
That's fucking amazing. Oh my god.
Just that level of genius, and that encapsulates Conan pretty well.
Yeah. Man.
And he's a real down to earth, just really cool dude. Like I think he was talking with like Dion Cole or whatever, and they were like in a privileged white neighborhood, and Dion wasn't sure he wanted to go there because he's used to just, having some bigots every once in a while call the police on him just for being different than they were. And that opened up Conan's eyes, and he's like, well, that's unacceptable. That's not going to fucking happen on my watch. And I think he also, you see him even reacting the most to comedians who are like promoting like a dramatic work. He's like, you guys are going to a factor that I wish, I was capable of doing,
Right.
He gets a little sad when he's in Israel, revisiting Sonya's past. Yeah. And he's like, man, this is heavy. But he also knows that filter. He knows how to, you're still kind of entertained getting there before you get to the drama even. And he knows how to lighten the mood without going too far, or it's like, no, just seriously, shut up right now, Conan. Everyone's having a hard time. And
he's very good at reading the room.
Yeah. That's why he's never really gotten like in trouble for the jokes he makes.
Yeah, he
knows when to stop.
Had to be canceled. It says a lot for when the most that's happened has been some like Taiwanese hackers were ripping your stuff off, and it's just so funny how he would have to respond to them every once in a while. He'd be seeing like some foreign TV show host guys were spoofing him because of YouTube videos, and he would try to respond to it, and he just couldn't keep up with it after a while. Yeah, it was like for everyone to basically learn something from his shows and gone on to write a bunch of other comedies or act in other sitcoms. That says a lot. Everyone's kind of just accepted the uncanniness of it all.
At the end of the day, as silly as Conan is, he's also a very genuinely nice person, and he tries to give everybody a chance who works for him. He even loves his fans. Like he said, he never really gets mad when he's out and fans like want to talk to him. He pretty much talks to everybody. It even irritates his wife sometimes because they're just trying to get somewhere, and he wants.
I love those stories when his wife will say, "Let's go to bed," or his kids are like, "Man, I don't care what Dad does." Oh man. And I think he's also just picked the rare fruit that just all of us kind of side with, is that we don't want to we don't want to follow every rule, but at the same time we don't want to go out and cause trouble, and at the same time we just got to blurt out something that's on our mind because just something is just really irking us. This is like, nah, what did you think I was? So he kind of has a bit of the smart ass in all of us, but he also kind of has the just an average Joe, just another 9-to-5 job. What are they spending this money on anyway?
And the amazing part about Conan is he didn't build himself up to that. He started that way.
Yeah.
He was never really shy to say what he wanted to say and do what he wanted to do.
He was able to filter the unfilter, I guess you could say. Just it's like ease in and then up, ease out. And it was always hysterical when he would have an interview that was going south. He's traveling around, and you can tell it's like that did not go well. But,
same reason I love Letterman. He's never been shy about how he feels, and the same way with when the whole Conan Leno thing happened. David Letterman was one of his biggest supporters, and he was very vocal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
it helped that he hates Jay Leno, but
right.
But David Letterman has always been that grumpy old man.
Yeah.
Who also is funny.
Yeah.
The old
it's not like laugh. That one time Drew Barrymore and Crispin Glover wrecked my show. But yeah, Letterman is interesting because like those last few years, oh man, they were a dog for me. They were not letting him do any of his other skits like Will It Float, but I respected him so much as a person and everything. And I think he had so many coming to Jesus moments where he's just like, what am I even doing with this show anymore?
Yeah.
Was it him who had was it Joaquin Phoenix that was on his show that one night? Like with the sunglasses on, acting really weird.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Did you know that was all an act?
I was gonna say, was that a bit?
There was an act, and at the same time,
Joaquin Phoenix for 8 months of his life pretended to be completely out of his fucking mind to record a documentary.
Oh, really?
At the end of it, he came out and said, "By the way, I was being filmed the whole time. The movie will be coming out next year." And then he was just he was just Joaquin Phoenix crazy again instead of
extra crazy. Yeah. In other words, a perfect candidate to play Joker. Oh wait.
Yeah. Look at that.
I mean, there have been some good movies and shows. As a good segue is like I've talked about comedy bits, and it's so funny how what are the uneducated, millennial who's only seen like maybe 5 seconds of one or been a long time. It is funny always seeing what they kind of riff on. They're riffing on riffers, because it's like half the time, I went even deeper back. You were talking games. I forgot that there was a segment on Conan where he would redub, like do a PG version of Grand Theft Auto. It would make it look like every day 9 to 5 guys just walking around, and one of them gets hit by a car. And they made it literally look like interactive Simpsons almost. just walking around, and they're asking, "Hey, you dated my mom, I hear." Not going around shooting or robbing banks.
Corey, we've done that before. I feel like everyone's tried that at least once. We tried to play GTA.
It's not so R-rated, is
it? We did it for way too long once. We were sitting there one time. It was probably a good hour where we're just stopping at red lights, not hitting anybody, and turning and getting in the right lane. And eventually, we were just like, "What the fuck are we doing here?"
I did the same thing with Mercenaries, that other knockoff game where I would just literally just be going around trying to befriend everybody. Hey, why are you shooting at me in your war zone? Hey,
right. It turns out GTA is pretty boring if you don't break any laws.
It's true.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
I know, controversial opinion, but
steal someone else.
Yeah. It's not very controversial.
No, I'm the king of controversy. Okay, that's a controversial take.
All right.
If you stop at every red light, GTA is kind of boring.
Just kind of like porn is bringing out keeping all the taboo people in line. I think video games keep all the psychos in line, really. And just,
What's taboo? I don't even know what that means.
What is taboo?
R1, R2, L1, R2, left, down, right, up, left, down, right, up.
Hey, Alexa, what does taboo mean?
It's Adrian showing everyone his lightsaber.
That one will stick with me forever, that cheat code.
Well, this has been a delight having you both on here. What is Culture Shock got stacked on the deck next?
Recently, our sequels episode came out, but on the when will this go up though? Because it depends. I mean,
when I get my shit together. But.
I'll just say at the time,
so
at the time of recording this, we did our first of 2 episodes on the sequel because we tried to do it in one
on Star Wars. Yeah,
on Star Wars sequels, we tried to do it in one episode, but we all got a little too heated with each other, and
and it is funny because it's very natural. It's like I respect you, and I completely disagree. At the same time.
An hour and 15 minutes was not enough time.
And we ended up having a lot more to say, so we decided we're going to do a part 2. That'll be coming. It'll probably be out once this is out. But the next episode, other than that, is we're going to do season 2 of Breaking Bad.
Yes,
the Breaking Bad ones have been great because you're just like, hey, I get that Skylar evolves. It's like, why does everyone support Walter? When he's a psycho.
People love Walter. I'm one of them.
I love Walter. I'm not so hot on Heisenberg. Sorry, other way around. I love Heisenberg.
Yeah, no, wait. I love Heisenberg. That dude kicks ass. Bring the bottle back. Yes.
It's been great hearing you talk about the various technology and how you got introduced to games at friends' house, and it's been very uplifting because it's always annoying when you have to inevitably tell someone, it's like, hey, I know about that game and I never played a single fucking minute of it, but don't look at me like you can't talk to me. It is a very freeing conversation, and it is cool seeing you guys just introduce about stuff. You should totally do an episode on the Sony Walkman radio cassettes.
that was at one point part of pop culture, I guess.
Because it's like that's another thing. It's changing. It's like now is like I don't know anyone who isn't not using Spotify or one of those other sites.
Oh yeah. So if people want to see our more heated side of Culture Shock, check out the pre No Way Home Spider-Man episode.
That was great.
And the Star Wars sequels. I think those are the two heated. If you want to see the more friendly casual side, check out any other episode.
The Resident Evil one was fun because you're talking about the big bosses and you guys couldn't agree on like what was the best installment. It's just and kind of the same thing with Star Wars. It's like, hey, that lightsaber fight was great.
Sam Raimi.
Oh god.
The Scrubs one was great, obviously.
Or
talking about TV sitcoms and how they changed and.
Corey sensed something was coming.
Adrian was about to say the lack of
lightsaber fights in The Last Jedi, as in Zero.
Oh man!
As you can see, we still have another Star Wars episode to record. Our thoughts have not fully been articulated.
Oh yeah, and if you get to the shows, then what next?
Oh god, well, I'm sure we'll do them eventually.
Yeah, eventually we'll get.
I don't know if Doug will ever watch them.
It was great hearing your Batman chat and even sports chat because you guys, dare I say, are able to kind of pick into any chat and get anyone kind of in the mode. And it's like they don't even have to be a fan of what you're talking about, and they just love the chat. It's just the natural discourse.
Well, hey man, that's a great compliment. Thank you.
And that's exactly what we're going for. Our entire lives.
No one could agree on Batman, and it's like it just showed me how some people take Batman too seriously, and other people love him in a campy version. And this is like that's the problem. Batman has changed tone over the years, so it was inevitable.
Hey, Adam West's Batman and Joel Schumacher's Batman work for some people. I mean, Batman and Robin is the greatest Batman movie of all time, but I got 5 minutes on that episode to explain why it's the greatest.
Oh man, and I mean, you were citing Bob Kane. Everyone's like, Bob Kane's an idiot. I don't care that he wrote.
Oh goodness,
it was great. Oh man,
and
Arnold Schwarzenegger's best performance.
Yeah, it's up there.
Mr. Freeze, he was kind of the reason I watched to begin with.
Absolutely. Screw you, Terminator or Predator.
It doesn't take a whole lot to be top tier for Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm going to be honest with you.
Whoa. Well, that's just it.
Episode. I didn't mean to.
He brought out the best in me because it's like everyone else was doing shitty, stupid movies, and he kind of was, I don't know, just committing to that over the top nature.
Oh, absolutely.
Whereas like everyone wanted muscles like him and just go around.
That's why he's. Well, since you both did it, we all had to get one in there.
Oh man!
And also, if I can shamelessly plug, I have a YouTube channel as well, Baker Reviews, where I also review movies, games, TV shows, all that kind of stuff. I just came out with a Thor: Love and Thunder episode where I have mixed opinions.
He literally ripped off everything we do in the podcast for a YouTube channel.
Whoa, I started my YouTube channel first.
Don't believe him, guys. Don't believe him.
If anything, Culture Shock Podcast ripped me off. Wait, I'm part of that podcast.
All right. I work here. And
yeah, that's right.
You guys are sounding like Roger Avery and Tarantino, where they would always say, give me a writing credit. We're going to rip each other off before we write our next crazy crime movie.
We're just going to ride each other's coattails to the top.
That's right. Whoever hits it bigger, my YouTube channel or the podcast, we're going to use each other.
We're going to steer towards that one.
It's a symbiotic relationship.
And you guys also know how to just kind of go into like even the most unrelated topic, and it'll just work for whatever your topic is.
Oh, we steer
going back and
quite
forth
a bit.
Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, and that played went back and forth.
We actually had a whole Johnny Depp episode planned when Doug was missing a week, but because of internet issues, it never happened. We definitely talked. And I guess you guys did talk about that trial.
We talked about it a little bit in the next episode, but we actually had an entire 40 minutes recorded
all about Johnny Depp.
About Johnny Depp, but we weren't even halfway through the things we were going to talk about, and everything just crapped out.
Yep.
Now the trial's kind of over, so I don't think we'll ever get I mean, we might do a spotlight on Johnny Depp eventually, but
yeah,
we'll probably hold off on that.
And I guess how do you go about like kind of planning the episode? Like, do you often just say, what are we thinking of this week? It's like
very chaotically. And,
yes. Now
we
we don't
have a list or anything.
There are certain weeks that things come out that we're like, we have to talk about this. Yeah. Like one episode that it was just a 2-man recently was Corey and me. We were both huge Resident Evil fans. They announced that new Resident Evil 4 remake. So we're like, let's talk about Resident Evil.
Well, let's tie it in. Just the latest happenings. Like you say, it is hard to plan some stuff. It is so hysterical. I'll half the hosts when they're doing a game or a movie program, how they're having to force themselves to finish the movie just to get the review done in time.
Yeah, so a lot of times we look in when there's a new Batman movie. I saw it first. I told all of them, go see this because we have to discuss it immediately. We talked about Doctor Strange because it just came out. You know, some weeks we have stuff like Spider-Man No Way Home. Certain weeks we have stuff planned. Off weeks we're just like, what the hell you guys want to talk about? And we try to be pretty consistent between movies, television, and video games.
We try to keep,
we try to do like a rotation.
Sometimes the news steers towards one thing and we kind of do multiple on the same thing.
And then we've also done one episode on music, which Corey hates, although it's done very well for us.
I loved it, but I understand the hate was natural because it's like, you're good.
Look, I love music.
Bad.
You know what the
I
funniest?
love listening to music. I hate talking about it.
You know what the funniest thing is, Corey? How many concerts have you been to?
Over 50.
That's more than the other 3 of us combined. And he's the one that hated talking about music.
I'm going to a concert. I just went to one last month and I'm going to another one in a couple months.
It's fine. I didn't start out as a music podcast either. I said I was going to cover it, but we were mainly doing movie composers and I had to.
Oh, so you mainly did like film scores and stuff like that?
Yeah, but then I got people who was like, they could do a film score, but they just weren't as giving as much attention to it or as available. And so I was like, well, fuck it. Let's just talk AC/DC one. Let's talk about Weezer. Let's talk about
So did you guys do like an episode about each band, or do you?
Oh, we've done many. We still got many other coming out. I got a Jack Black and Tenacious D one coming out.
Nice.
Yeah, we talked so much about Foo Fighters, and then Taylor Hawkins unexpectedly died, so it became a totally different kind of show. I was like,
that got dark real fast.
I would love to go to the reunion or the memorial concert they're gonna do for him.
Yeah.
All kinds of different legendary drummers are gonna go to the stage and play songs with Foo Fighters. I think it's going to be in California or somewhere. I don't know. I just heard about it. Like there's all these legendary drummers from different bands that are going to come on and like play a song each with Foo Fighters and do his part. It just sounds like a really great idea. I don't know. I would love to be part of it, but I live on the other side of the country. I probably won't get to see that, but that would be like Foo Fighters were always my favorite 90s band growing up when I was a teenager. I'm old as shit. So
that's a good segue because I mean they were kind of another one just where they didn't want to sound like just any other grunge band, and hearing them their recent talks has been enlightening because
September 27th.
Okay.
And Geddy Lee's going to be there.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
All these legends, all these greats. Okay, well. You are always welcome back, both of you, and I'm glad we could talk about one hell of a guy.
Thank you for having us on, sir.
Anytime.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show.